So, today we're going to talk about what might just be the most challenging operation in all of modern medicine. Seriously. It's a procedure that pushes surgical skill, technology, and the human body to their absolute limits. It's a story of incredibly high stakes, unbelievable risk, and truly remarkable innovation. All right, let's get right into it. Here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with the condition itself, this ticking time bomb inside the body. Then we'll walk through the insane amount of planning, witness the surgery, the Everest of operations, and then we'll uncover the scientific breakthrough that finally conquered its most feared complication. And finally, we'll see what it takes to actually survive the summit. Okay, first things first. What exactly are we dealing with here? What is a thoracoabdominal aortic aneurysm, or TAA for short, and what makes it so unbelievably dangerous? Think about it like this. Your aorta is the body's main superhighway for blood flow. Now, imagine a weak spot in that highway wall starts to balloon out, creating this massive, fragile bulge. And this isn't just a small spot. It stretches all the way from your chest down into your abdomen. It is quite literally a ticking time bomb. If it bursts, it's almost always fatal. Now, the history of trying to fix this thing is just wow. It's an incredible story of progress. If you go back to the 1960s, a patient basically had a coin toss chance of even surviving the surgery, a 50-50 shot. But thanks to absolute pioneers in the field and decades of relentless innovation, we've seen those mortality rates just plummet. Today, in the right hands, it's below 7%. That is an astounding leap forward. Here's something that might surprise you, though. The battle is often won long before a surgeon ever picks up a scalpel. The preparation that goes into this operation is every bit as intense as the procedure itself. You know, surgeons basically have to become master assessors of the entire human body. They look at everything: heart function, kidney function. They pay special attention to the lungs, since something like 40% of these patients have COPD. They use incredibly advanced imaging to create this perfect, detailed 3D map of the patient's unique anatomy. It's not just about fixing an artery, it's about making absolutely sure the patient can survive the unbelievable stress of the repair. And this quote really gets to the heart of the crucial human side of it all. The conversation with the patient has to be brutally, unflinchingly honest. The surgeon has to lay out all the severe risks, and we're not just talking about death, but life-altering things like paralysis or permanent kidney failure. It's this profound discussion about risk, hope, and what success really truly means. Okay, so the patient's ready, the plan is locked in. Now we get to the surgery itself, the main event. And this procedure is so mind-bogglingly complex, it's been compared to rewiring an entire city's power grid while the city is still running. So here's the nuts and bolts of it. Surgeons have to clamp the body's main artery, which stops all the blood flow. Then they cut out that weak, ballooned-out section. And then they have to meticulously sew in a tough synthetic replacement. But that's not all. Along the way, they have to carefully reattach every single critical branch artery that feeds the gut, the liver, the kidneys. Every single stitch has to be absolutely perfect. And get this, there isn't just one way to climb this surgical mountain. Surgeons have options. They can go with the classic clamp and sew technique, which is faster but puts an enormous strain on the heart. Or they can use what's called assisted circulation, basically a bypass machine, to give the heart a helping hand. That reduces the strain, but it adds a whole other layer of complexity and bleeding risks. It's a constant, high-stakes balancing act. But here's the thing. Fixing the aorta, that's just one part of the challenge. There's a true ghost in the operating room, a complication that has haunted surgeons for decades, and it's something else entirely. The answer to this very question is what drove the single biggest innovation in this entire field. Spinal cord ischemia. What happens is when surgeons clamp that aorta, they risk cutting off the blood supply to the spinal cord. And that lack of oxygen, well, it can cause permanent damage, leading to paralysis from the waist down. It's a devastating and, for a very long time, a totally unpredictable outcome. Now, for decades, everyone operated under something called the anatomic theory. They thought paralysis happened because they failed to find and reattach one single critical artery. It was like this tragic treasure hunt inside the body. But then came the breakthrough, a complete paradigm shift. It was called the physiologic theory. Researchers finally realized it wasn't about one magic artery, it was about protecting the entire network of smaller collateral blood vessels that feed the spinal cord.
This new way of thinking was a total game changer. So the next question was, how do you take this amazing new theory and turn it into real-world strategies that can actually shield the spinal cord from harm during surgery?
They built this incredible, multi-layered shield of protection. It's a combination of tactics. They gently cool the patient's body to slow down metabolism, so the spinal cord doesn't need as much oxygen. They drain a little bit of spinal fluid to relieve physical pressure on the cord. They actually raise the patient's blood pressure to force blood through all those tiny collateral vessels. And they even use special drugs to protect the nerve cells themselves. It's a full-on protective assault. And the results? I mean, they were just staggering. By putting this whole shield of physiologic strategies into practice, the rate of paralysis dropped by up to 85%. The ghost in the OR was finally being defeated. And you don't just have to take my word for it. The data backs this up completely. Look at this chart. That first bar, near 1, is the expected risk. Now look what happens when surgeons add just one of those protective measures, draining the spinal fluid. The risk just plummets. This is the hard evidence showing that this new physiologic approach really, really works. But, climbing Mount Everest is only half the battle, right? You still have to make it back down. And after this monumental surgery, the recovery journey, well, it brings its own formidable set of challenges. And here's another surprise. While everyone fears paralysis the most, the data shows that lung problems are actually the most common complication, hitting over a quarter of all patients. This mostly comes down to the fact that many of these patients are older and have long histories of smoking. The surgery, the anesthesia, the giant incision, it all takes a massive toll on the lungs. Long-term survival, of course, depends on a lot of things. Age, whether there were complications, other health issues. But surviving this, it's not just about the stats. It's about the unbelievable resilience of these patients to climb their own personal Everest. And here's the most hopeful part of this whole story. After that grueling first year of recovery, about 80% of the survivors say they're back to the quality of life they had before. That is a truly remarkable summit to reach. So when you step back and look at the whole story of this surgery, it's just so much more than a medical procedure, isn't it? It's a profound lesson. It teaches us about what it means to confront immense risk, about the sheer resilience of the human body and spirit, and maybe most importantly, it shows us the incredible power of changing your entire perspective, of shifting from looking for one simple answer to protecting the whole system, to finally solve a problem that once seemed absolutely impossible.